Thank you for choosing to watch the Watchman News Headlines video. Our full episodes can now be seen over at Patreon with much more added content for just $2 a month. Link is in the description. If you cannot afford $2 a month, please consider using our Amazon affiliate link, purchasing from our Teespring store, or making a PayPal donation. All links are below. In order for us to grow, we have to make changes to enable it. Our time is valuable, and we have been one of the very few news sources actually dedicated to bringing you honest, hard-hitting, actionable news and information. Plus, for your $2 a month, you do not have to hear me blabber about these links. It's a win for us all.
Bullshit.
Thank you. Good evening, Watchmen and Watchwomen of YouTube. So, just talked a little bit about preparedness tonight. Had a pretty close call last night where we live. We had an EF1 tornado move through town, and I'm pretty sure moved right over top of us. So it took out a tree next door here, and did some damage to the house next door. And luckily, our home didn't sustain any damage. And several places, though, there's down power lines, down trees. There's a barn, I believe, that got taken out. Some other sheds. So it definitely some minor damage along a path. Like I say, they did designate it an EF1. So very interesting stuff. But it was quite surreal. I did storm chasing in my younger days, and it's quite different when you're chasing one in a vehicle versus hunkering down in a bedroom of a house and with no basement. And like I say, you could tell by the way that the winds were acting. You could tell that this wasn't your normal windstorm. and plus there was a definite howling sound, a loud howling sound. It was quite surreal. But anyway, our home's okay. Like I say, the neighbor's home got some minor damage to it, so where a tree fell on it. But anyway, other than that, everything is fine. We got a ton of headlines to cover from Friday, so we'll get on into that. Alright, again, starting from Friday, Minnesota theater scraps Cinderella production after two white cast fails to meet diversity, equity, and inclusion criteria. Well, it happens, I guess. At least 5 dead after several massive tornadoes wreak havoc across Alabama. Again, this was Friday's news. London seeks to exclude Moscow from European security system while it cozies up to America, says Russian envoy. Pardon me, I'm battling heartburn, so... Google Podcasts is like Parler, and you can find Alex Jones there, says New York Times in latest pro-censorship story. 2 UK care home workers arrested over multiple coronavirus-related deaths of residents. As cases fall, Moscow set to remove COVID-19 crowd restrictions ahead of full military parade to mark World War II victory over the Nazis, says RBK. China halts Australian hay imports amid escalating trade row. China sanctions UK officials and entities for maliciously spreading disinformation about Uyghur Muslims. Minister disturbed by school protest over Prophet Muhammad cartoon says teachers should not be intimidated. Traffic jam at Suez sends global shipping costs soaring. UK cabinet minister denies plan to make COVID passports mandatory to enter pubs. Nearly half of Moscow residents now immune to coronavirus, officials say, as Russian capital mulls dropping ban on mass gatherings. Germany to list France as high-risk COVID-19 area, Merkel says, as infections continue to rise. China overtakes U.S. as world's largest refiner. Still on Friday, by the way. Russia waging war on West using its homegrown COVID-19 vaccines as tool for political influence. French President Macron claims. Democracy has seen 500,000 U.S. COVID deaths. China hits back as Biden says Xi Jinping doesn't have a democratic bone in his body. Them spiting words. New Zealand's Catholic Church apologizes for systems and culture that allowed historic abuse to occur. Let's see. Rishi Sunak claims workers will quit if they aren't allowed back to office. Brits conclude chancellors out of touch with reality. I'll get it read. Still on Friday, Facebook platforms used for most online child sex abuse, UK charity says, warns pedophiles thrive if encryption isn't limited. Brazil's Lula record deaths from COVID-19 are worst genocide in country's history, and President Bolsonaro is to blame. Ukraine Zelensky approves strategy for return of Crimea from military adversary Russia and names NATO membership as key goal. Paris accuses London of blackmail over COVID-19 vaccines because UK has second dose problem amid global supply challenge. At least 32 dead, 66 injured as two trains crash in southern Egypt. Still on Friday. Moscow accuses NATO boss Stoltenberg of lying about Russian refusal to speak to alliance, says he ignored Russian proposals. Russia promotes Arctic Sea Route as viable alternative to block Suez Canal. Let's see. New research suggests intuition is indeed linked to the number of microbes found in your intestines. Turkey condemns Macron's dangerous claim of interference in presidential election. Figures rising too fast. German officials warn third COVID-19 wave could be worst one yet. Norway delays decision on resuming use of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. Verdict to be reached by April 15th. Still on Friday. UK ministers speak out against threats and intimidation at protest over showing Muhammad caricature at school. Russia and China to bolster financial security systems, reducing dependency on West in response to threats. In response to threats from unfriendly nations. Canada's Supreme Court upholds Trudeau government's pet carbon tax law, but opponents promise to fight constitutional Trojan horse. Despite several packages of U.S. sanctions, Nord Stream 2 pipeline will unequivocally be finished in 2021, says Gazprom chairman. UK military charity Afghan Heroes wound up over serious mismanagement after injured soldiers got just 3p out of every beats me, 1 pound raise. I don't know the equivalence there. So, fire breaks out at Indian COVID hospital, killing at least 10. Widespread detentions reported in Belarus after protesters marched in capital to demand resignation of embattled leader Lukashenko. CNN airs Trump CDC chief's opinion that COVID started as Wuhan lab leak, argues he sees and knows things the rest of us don't. Kind of interesting. Still on Friday. Lioness spotted sitting on Moscow suburb roof, but owner lashes out at neighbor who put clip online saying it's perfectly normal. Because, yeah, everybody has a lioness that just kind of hangs out on the roof and just comes back in when he's ready. Or she, I guess. Yeah. Pakistan successfully test fires 900-kilometer range nuclear-capable ballistic missile. Nothing to see there. Breathing is an offensive weapon. UK doctor ridiculed for dramatic warning during COVID vaccine passport debate. Taiwan says it deployed missile systems to monitor 20 Chinese military aircraft in biggest ever incursion over island. Authorities to investigate parents after group of Russian kids kneel in snow to protest their village not having its own school. Former SNP leader Alex Salmond launches Alba Party to build new case for Scottish independence. Michael Flynn's family sues CNN for $75 million over making them out to be QAnon supporters. More than 100 kilos of dynamite found as police arrest 6 in series of raids across Norway. Pete Buttigieg raises eyebrows by floating a mileage tax as way to fund costly infrastructure plans. Still on Friday. French bishops to pay compensation to child sex abuse victims for church crimes and shortcomings. 3 of Russia's nuclear submarines spectacularly and simultaneously emerged from under Arctic ice for the first time in history. After calling Putin killer and Xi autocrat, Biden invites them to climate summit. Why not? Plain sailing for meme makers, jokes flood in as Ever Given refloat in Suez Canal fails and more tugboats are called in. Still on Friday. Romney baffles left and right as he receives JFK Profile and Courage Award and thanks to Trump impeachment vote. Okay. Google exposes 9-month counter-terror hacking op by friendly government and raises questions about what makes an ally. Jim Crow in the 21st century, Biden shares harsh words for Georgia election integrity bill. Instagram censors artist's comic as dangerous for verbatim quote of woke Sesame Street episode. Trump says he didn't really listen to Dr. Fauci on COVID-19 and blast him as a self-promoter. Happy Confederate Constitution Day, Belarus mercilessly trolls U.S. Embassy after it praised German-backed puppet regime of World War I. Fox News slapped with $1.6 billion defamation suit by Dominion Voting Systems over election fraud claims. Okay, now we're to yesterday. Gangster-like logic, North Korea rejects Biden's missile launch criticism, points to Washington's own saber rattling. USA Today fires race and inclusion editor over tweet saying mass shooters always angry white men after Boulder rampage. Facebook bans Press TV page again as Iranian outlet decries move as censorship and attack on free speech. Disappointing and disconcerting. Russian embassy laments Polish envoy's call to weaken Russia by blocking Nord Stream 2. Quiet professionals. U.S. Special Operations Command appoints partisan diversity and inclusion chief who compared Trump to Hitler. I'm telling you. Need to find an island. An empty island. World may be facing another toilet paper shortage due to shipping container crisis, an industry boss warns. So keep that in mind. Here's why a handful of small Italian communities want Russia's Sputnik 5 and why they can't get it. Oil industry hit hard by new travel restrictions. Hugo Boss branded two-faced in China for sending mixed messages on buying cotton from Xinjiang amid forced labor allegations. A BBC and Times smear UK professor skeptical of Syria regime change drive as a would-be traitor after his rival's sting op. Yeah, something like that. Just put it together the right way. Bedside Big Brother, homeworking employees to get mandatory webcams that allow AI to catch slackers. Yeah, hope you're real comfortable with that. Russia's National Wealth Fund gets green light for gold investments as Moscow pursues de-dollarization policy. Shots fired at U.S. mission in Myanmar, embassy says amid clashes between police and anti-coup protesters. Paramount Plus reportedly removed SpongeBob episode about clam flu due to similarities with COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. Venezuelan President Maduro banned from posting on Facebook for talking about COVID-19 remedies, says the media. Still on yesterday. Myanmar forces killed dozens in deadliest day since coup. Iran and China inked 25-year strategic partnership accord as both nations face U.S. pressure. Amid escalating violence, Myanmar's armed insurgents warn of action as clamor grows for federal army to defend civilians. Brits lash out at police statement describing officers' attack on journalists at Bristol protest as confrontation. CNN's reliable sources savaged for error-laden attempt to debunk misinfo on Channel's Rio Grande migrant smuggling report. Shutoffs at world's major trade routes evolving as Europe's busiest freight line remains closed and cargo still stuck in Egypt. Russia joins global hydrogen race with planned exports to Asia. I'm going to sip of coffee and a couple of vapes here. Apparently I'm out of coffee. Oh, yum, yum, yum. All right. First COVID-19 pass introduced in the United States. No, thank you. Eurovision bosses pressured by politicians and haters on social media to disqualify entry from Belarus, says a state broadcaster. Let's see. Attack by ISIS-linked militants traps over 180 people, including foreigners, in Mozambique hotel for days. Bring meth-making jobs back to America. U.S. Senators' nostalgia for homegrown meth prompts mockery. Guess so. Putin thinks democracy not fit for the future. U.S. President Joe Biden claims amid growing diplomatic row with Russian counterpart. Kid pro quo, Democrat under fire after offering teens classroom credit for working on his campaign. Thousands of sexual abuse claims in UK schools reported to online campaign, leading to police investigation. Israel turns off Jordan's water supply amid drought and personal frictions. Amazon fires back at Elizabeth Warren, suggesting they should be broken up. Concerned Washington demands Bolivia release former interim President Inez and other officials accused of orchestrating a coup. Dr. Birx tells CNN hundreds of thousands of COVID-19 deaths could have been mitigated, blasted as complicit. At least one dead after knife-wielding attacker goes on stabbing rampage at Canadian Library. Protest outside Oklahoma jail after police shoot and kill inmate who took corrections officer hostage over poor conditions. Oh, we're to this morning's news, by the way. 14 injured after Catholic Church in Indonesia hit by suicide bomb attack. Russia to debut world's first electric plane at MAKS 2021 air show. Fury after CNN refers to Uber Eats driver's death during carjacking by teen girls as an accident. Global carriers forced to reroute ships to avoid massive Suez Canal traffic jam. Russia eyes quadrupling production of alexandrite and increasing its emerald output by 20%. Writing music down like Mozart did is white hegemony proposed reform of Oxford's curriculum, reportedly claims. Explosive report reveals U.S. police chief of tiny low-crime village earns more than New York City police commissioner. Armenian PM Pashinyan to resign ahead of fresh election as protests and constitutional crisis rage on in wake of war with Azerbaijan. A Russian cosmonaut shows how Suez Canal looks from International Space Station. Wall Street banks ditch $19 billion in stocks in unprecedented block trade sell-off, says media. Only my doctor knows. Putin refuses to reveal which of the 3 Russian COVID-19 vaccines he received in a closed-door appointment. UK minister said government is confident it won't run out of vaccines for those awaiting a second dose. Australian politicians propose drug testing and breathalyzers to make Parliament best possible workplace. Egypt may offer discounts for ships that left stranded by Suez Canal blockage. Russia boosts agricultural exports amid COVID pandemic. White House claims it will give press access to border facilities but refuses to say when. Shocking conditions at Biden's administration's immigration facility documented by senator as official tries to block camera. Washington, D.C. mayor blasted for calling carjacking crime of opportunity days after Uber Eats driver brutal death. Difficult to watch body cam video of U.S. police officers mocking and degrading 5-year-old spurs anger and demands for action. New York lawmakers reach agreement on legalization of recreational marijuana. Unvaccinated children must wear a mask when playing together, Fauci warns. Massive blaze engulfs Indonesian oil refinery amid reports of explosion. Tornado hit Metro East Saturday night. That was the one that hit here. The National Weather Service, like I say, they did classify that as an EF1. So, yep, it's exciting. Exciting thing to go through. Biden administration working to develop a system for people to prove their vaccination status. Yeah, real nice. Shocking and racist politician in hot water over telling whites to be silent when people of color discuss racism. Most Americans disagree with Biden's handling of border crisis and gun violence, says a poll. That's it. I don't see any more headlines up there, so I am going to sneak out of here and be done. It's been a crazy weekend, so anyway, I hope everybody is doing okay. I am probably gonna sneak to bed a little early tonight, so anyway, we shall see you tomorrow. Until then, as always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.